And we're back. What is up, my dear friends? Today we are working on some techniques. We are giving you some ideas in which you can play around with so that you can begin to learn how to process your emotional heartbreak at this point in time. We are going to be talking about, more importantly, I'm going to be talking about equipping you with two powerful coping tips that will help you to understand what to do during the time you are feeling heartbroken. So if that's currently you, this video, this message, this teaching lesson is for you, because the two things that I'm going to bring up, I honestly believe will help you to extremely begin to replace the brokenness with wholesomeness. It'll help you to let the pain go a little bit so that you can increase your fulfillment and joy. I honestly believe that, and that's the goal after today. Remember, it's not about you sitting here with me or me sitting here with you. It's about you applying the knowledge, skill set, and ability to your own life so that you can see the results that you're looking for. I wish I could do the work for you, but nonetheless, I can't do it. I can tell you what to do, but I can't make you do it. It's kind of like the saying, if you ever heard of it, it's you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make the horse drink. Did you ever hear that before? If so, that's kind of the same thing here. I can give you the information, but information is not enough. You must apply the information in order for you to receive the result that you're looking for. Now, I understand, it's challenging to figure out what it is that you need to do during this time of your heartbreak. Like, most of the reason why we can't find ourselves moving on after heartbreak is because ideally is we just don't know how to move on. We don't know what to move toward, and we don't understand ourselves enough to empower ourselves to take the next step because we lack confidence in ourselves. So when a relationship ends, I want you to understand that healing can absolutely take place, but time in and of itself, time by itself, it will not help you heal your heart. I think a lot of people get this wrong. I think a lot of people expect time to do their healing. Like, you don't really do the things that you need to do in order to heal, but you wait for time to do the healing, and then you are 5-10 months down the road and you're kind of still feeling the exact same way that you felt month one after the heartbreak. It's not time in and of itself that can help you heal your heart. It's what you can do in that time that can help you heal your heart. So I hope that in today's lesson, you are equipped with the proper tools in order for you to begin to use your time more wisely so that you can heal. Now, these tips can help you grieve your loss and grieve your pain and start to move on after a heartbreak. And I feel like that's what we want more than anything right now. So before you can move on from your heartbreak and your breakups, I feel like you need to understand why breakups and heartbreaks hurt so bad. A breakup can be one of the most stressful and most emotional experiences of our lives. It's one of the biggest turning points of our lives. We either sink or we swim, and we either move into our happiness or we find self-destruction. And oftentimes I find it to be rather challenging to pull ourselves out of the dark forest that leaves us feeling lost and alone and fearful and afraid and unable to let go of the thoughts that are keeping us stopped and stuck in our path of our ex, because we're pondering all of the past memories of who they are to us and what we created them to be. But for whatever the reason, your split took place, and whether you wanted it or not, the breakup of a relationship is, like I said, it can turn your whole entire world upside down and trigger all sorts of pain and unsettling emotions. I know I'm speaking to the choir because you're currently experiencing this, and I say this with a smile because I honestly have hope that there is happiness after this heartbreak. So even when a relationship is no longer good, a breakup can be extremely painful because ultimately it represents the loss, not just of the partnership that you had with them, but also the dreams and commitments you shared. And that's hard to swallow. Romantic relationships begin on such a high note, a positive note of excitement and love and hopes for the future, right? But when a relationship fails, we experience profound disappointment, unfulfilled expectations, stress, grief, loneliness, thoughts of potentially suicide, and oftentimes depression, at least for a little bit of time. A breakup launches you into uncharted territories, some of the territories that you never wanted to revisit because everything is disrupted. Your routine and your responsibilities, your home, your relationships with extended family and your extended friends, and even your identity. If you're like me, that's what I felt like I lost and was the hardest thing for me to equip myself back. When I felt like I lost her, I felt like I lost myself. And finding myself was one of the most challenging things that I think I could have done. And when I mean finding myself, it was somebody that I was excited to be with, someone that I was happy about, someone who excited me to go out there and put myself out into the world, ideally. So we lose a lot of things after a breakup. And I know, once again, I'm preaching to the choir, but you've got to understand you're losing more than a partnership. And that's why the pain hurts so bad. You're losing yourself. You're losing your relationship. You're losing your friendships. You're losing finances. You're losing a house. You're losing a dog. You're losing kids. You're losing everything. And your world's flipped upside down, and it hurts. And a breakup brings a lot of us uncertainty about the future. What will life look like now that they're gone? We can't answer that because we don't know the answer to that, because we haven't spent enough time with ourselves, because we're too fearful to be alone with ourselves. We're too fearful to be alone with ourselves, to know what the future will look like, to create that vision, to have that thought process and equip ourselves with the proper mindset so that we can see a hope-filled future without them. You're questioning whether or not you'll ever find love again, or whether you'll find someone else again, or whether you'll find yourself. You ask yourself, will I always be alone? These unknowns can often seem worse than being in an unhappy relationship. And that's what holds most of you in a relationship, in a terrible relationship. You stay stuck in a bad relationship and hold on because the unknowns and the uncertainties of letting go often seem worse than being in that unhappy relationship. This pain, this disruption, and uncertainty means that recovering from a heartbreak can be very difficult and take a lot of time. And we don't want to face that. And we definitely don't want to face it alone. But that's why you're here at the Happy Heart Academy, because you don't have to face it alone, my dear friend. You're here. Congratulations. This is exciting. This should be good. This is personal development 101. We're supposed to be around each other, baby. We're supposed to help each other. We're supposed to encourage each other. We're supposed to give support, love, lead, serve ourselves and others into happier places. Like I said, however, it's just so vitally important to note that time by itself will not heal your brokenness. And the reason why you feel so broken because you lost more than just a relationship, a partner. But don't worry about it, because it should come with some excitement that time is not the only thing that can heal you, because that kind of sucks. You think about it, if time was the only thing that healed you, hell, how long is it going to take for time to heal you? If you're not healed after 6 months, how much longer do you need? How much more time do you need before you can heal? Challenging. It could take you 6 months. It could take you 2 years, like it did myself, until I started to learn how to actually heal my heart and work through my emotions and feel more authentic with myself and comfortable with me, and so that I can track my beautiful and loving soon-to-be bride. It's a beautiful thing when you come to work through these emotions, because most of heartbreak is all it is you've got to learn how to process and release emotion. And you've got to have better future thoughts that excite you. That's what you need. You need to work through the processing and emotion. You need some help with that, and you need to start creating a hope-filled future. So knowing that time does not heal all wounds, but it's what you do in that time should empower you, because I'm going to give you what you can do with your time while you're here with me at the Happy Heart Academy. So keep remembering and reminding yourself that you can and you will, because you must get through this difficult experience, because you are going to become a better version of yourself that's going to attract a better quality of a person, as long as you allow this moment to pass. If you allow yourself to release these emotions If you allow yourself to work through the pain, if you allow yourself to get uncomfortable and grow yourself, growth pains are always difficult. It doesn't matter if you're building some muscle, if you're building memory, if you're building a relationship, growing and building and developing is always difficult. And you just got to know that. You've got to understand that. You've got to accept that. And when you accept that, knowing that this is going to be hard, but it's going to harden me up to be a better version of myself, there's some hope in that alone. But today, knowing that time isn't the only thing that can help you heal your heart's hurt, I'm going to give you 2 powerful coping tips that will help you understand what to do during your heartbreak so that you don't feel so heartbroken on a long-term basis. How does that sound, my dear friend? I hope that excites you. And with number 1, we're going to kick it off with helping you understand that during this time of your heartbreak period, I don't care if it's 1 week or 1 year. It doesn't matter. During the time that you're feeling unhappy till the time that you're starting to feel better about yourself and who you're becoming. In that gap there, that bridge there, this is one thing that you must do. And today I'm only going to give you 2 different ideas because I want to see how you're liking these shorter videos. Would you prefer a shorter video? Would you prefer a longer video? Do you want them to be an hour training or do you want them to be a 30-minute training? Let me know in the comments below so that I can equip you with what you want and so that you're not bored listening to me. I hope you're enjoying listening to me, but remember, it's knowledge that you're after, not me. It's the knowledge so that you can apply that knowledge and change your life. So number 1, allow yourself to grieve the loss of the relationship. That is the first thing that I think you have to do right after number 1, which is you have to accept and acknowledge that this heartbreak has happened. You always, always, always have to accept and acknowledge that a heartbreak has happened in order for you to move on, because what you can't accept or what you deny, you can't accept. And what you cannot accept, you cannot heal. Let me say that again. What you deny, you cannot accept. What you cannot accept, you cannot heal. Because when you deny something, you like if this cup glass was broken here, right? It had maybe a little punctured hole at the bottom here. Okay? If it had a little punctured hole at the bottom here, and we ignored that, we denied that was true, eventually there wouldn't be any water in this cup, okay? Because we denied the fact that it's broken. We're like, we don't want to deal with it. We don't want to deal with it. It's better off if we just leave it broken and just ignore it. If we ignore it, it'll go away. Inevitably, it won't go away. The water will just keep dripping out of it, you dippy, right? The water will always drip out of it. There's a hole in the container. Well, there's a hole in your heart. And unless you learn how to fix that hole, you'll always fill that hole. And I know you know what hole I'm talking about. So what you got to do is you got to learn how to patch the hole, how to heal the hole, how to fix the hole, how to allow yourself to grieve the loss of the relationship so that you can eventually get back to feeling fulfilled again, like this cup. It's full, it's fulfilled, okay? Grief is a natural reaction of loss, but it's an uncommon one. It's one that we don't know much about. We don't know how long it should take to grieve. We don't know how to grieve. We don't know the steps to grieve. We don't know, the tolls in order for us to grieve, or even what the term the grieve means. Most of us don't, especially when we go through our first or second heartbreak. We still don't know what it means to grieve and to work through the pain. So grief is just a natural reaction to loss. And the breakup of or the divorce of a loved relationship involves multiple losses. And you've got to understand that you've got to learn to grieve with this. And if you're at the Happy Heart Academy, I do have a hour-long video about the 7 stages of grief that we walk through together to help you understand which stage you're at, how to work through that, understanding and identifying that stage. It's going to be very helpful. So if you're struggling with grief right now, be sure to check out that next video on grief, because I believe it's going to help you at least understand what it means to grieve and how long it might take to grieve and how to process and improve your stepping process through the grieving process. But nonetheless, definitely check it out. But I want you to understand that during this time, you're dealing with so many losses. There's a loss of companionship and shared experience, which may or may not have been consistently pleasurable. So you're losing companionship and shared experiences and memories. You're losing support It doesn't matter if it's financial support, intellectual support, social support, emotional support, sexual support. It doesn't matter. You feel like you're losing that support, and that's really difficult. There's losses of hopes, dreams, and plans, which can be even more painful than practical losses. Unfulfilled expectations make us feel completely and extremely and deeply hurt because we believe that we should be, the story should not be what it currently is. It should be the way that we expected it to be, but it goes unfulfilled. So that's sometimes worse than practical losses. And the last thing that I find that most people lose is themselves. The loss of self, feeling like you don't know who you are anymore now that they're gone. I think this is the most difficult one to face. I think this is the most challenging one to work through. Allowing yourself to actually feel the pain of these losses may be scary, because allowing yourself to feel anything means you have to be alone long enough to feel it. And right now we don't want to be alone. And because we don't want to be alone, we don't actually take the time to feel it in order to heal it, because we're not making space, we're not making time, we're not creating that healing energy within ourselves to be able to disconnect, to reconnect with ourselves, to give ourselves what we need. You may fear that your emotions will be a little too intense to bear, or that you'll be stuck in that dark place forever once you enter it. But just remember that grieving is essential to the healing process. The pain of grief is precisely what helps you to let go of the old relationship and move on. And no matter how strong your grief, please remember that it won't last forever. Everything's a season. This life is a season. This day's a season. We have 4 seasons. I mean, everything's a season. What season are you in? We can have a conversation about seasons another time. I think that would be a good topic, because that understanding that we go through seasons, there's a working season, there's a planting season, there's a harvest season, there's a reaping season, there's a grieving season, there's a love season, there's all sorts of seasons. What season are you in? And if you're currently struggling with letting go and moving on, it's partially because you haven't learned how to actually grieve it or feel it to heal it. The quickest way through the heartbreak is through the heartbreak. The quickest way to move through the heartbreak is actually you moving through the heartbreak, not denying it, not accepting it, not avoiding it, not procrastinating on it, not dealing with it. Not the fastest way to work through this heartbreak, to allow the pain to end, is to honestly work through it. Okay? So how do you actually work through it? What does that mean? How do I work through these processes? How do I work through these emotional pains, Tyler? Like, can you give me some ideas? I understand I have to feel it to heal it, but how? Okay, I got you. Don't worry. Okay, number 1, don't fight your feelings. It's normal to have a lot of ups and downs, right? It's pretty normal to feel ups and downs. One of the things that I learned from Jay Shetty, I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but he's an absolutely amazing thinker. And one of the things he said is, listen, we oftentimes want to go through life like this. We just want nothing to happen to us. We just kind of want to just get through life, right? Just no ups and no downs. We don't want any ups and we don't want any downs. Or if we have ups, we just only want continued ups. But that's not how life works. If your heartbeat was like this, you would be dead. When your life is like this, you're living a dead life. You want peaks and valleys because it means that you're alive. It means that you're fully alive. It means that you're living and fully living to the total experience of what you're supposed to be experiencing during this time in your life. So the goal to living is not to ever flatline your life just to make it to the end, to flatline your heart. It's to ride out the bumps and bruises, the ups and downs, the peaks and valleys. So it's normal to have a lot of ups and downs and feel many conflicting emotions, including anger, resentment, sadness, fear, relief, and confusion. It's important to identify and acknowledge these feelings, to name these feelings, to know what you're experiencing and what you're feeling. When I coach people one-on-one, oftentimes they can't even express to me clearly what they're feeling. Like, it's hard for them to really get clear on what it is you're feeling. They're feeling a lot of pain. I get it, but what's that mean? Are you angry? Well, no, I'm not angry. Are you sure you're not angry? It's hard for people to process because they haven't sat with themselves long enough to process it. Now, while these emotions will often be painful to deal with, I get it. That doesn't mean, but that doesn't mean that you should try to suppress them or ignore them, for they will just prolong the grieving process. Hear me out. The greatest way and the quickest way to work through the heartbreak is through the heartbreak. Okay? You have to stop suppressing how you feel or ignoring how you're feeling, and you must go back to the time of the heartbreak. And you must allow yourself to feel it in order to heal it. Number 2 way in which you can begin to work through the pain is to express how you feel. Whether you talk it out or write it out or speak it out or however you want to do it, you must find a way to express how you feel. Even if it's difficult for you to talk about it, and talk about your feelings with other people because you fear of being vulnerable and they'll look stupid and you're overthinking and yada, yada, yada. It's very, very, very important to find a way to do so when you're grieving, to express it, to not hold it in, to not be strong for your children, to not be strong. You've got to be, the best way that you can be strong for someone else is first to be strong for yourself. And the way that you be strong for yourself is allowing yourself to express how you're feeling. I don't care if it's journaling. At first I tried journaling. Journaling worked for me, but I hated how long it took for me to journal. So I moved to typing. And then sometimes I hated how fast my thoughts would go and I couldn't type fast enough. So finally I moved to speaking into my phone. And I would go on what I like to call walks with God, and I would just be outside walking in the woods or near the streams or on a quick walk around the neighborhood, and I would just speak a little quietly. I would talk to myself. People might have thought I was nuts, but still I wasn't nuts because I was allowing myself to process the pain. Knowing that others are aware of your feelings, this is going to bring freedom, because it'll make you feel less alone. And with your pain, it'll make you feel less alone with yourself. It'll make you feel less alone in the world, and it will help you to actually heal your heart. So find a way to positively allow yourself to express your pain and use yourself as a positive outlet for your feelings. Don't run to alcohol. Don't run to sex. Don't run to drugs. Don't run to other coping negative mechanisms. Working out intensely. Don't work, emotion is just a thought that you begin to feel, and you need to learn how to release it. Well, talking through it, writing through it, walking through it, these things can honestly help you work through your pain. Ultimately, work with a coach. That's why I'm here. If you want to just one-on-one experience, let's talk. Let's talk. It's the best thing that you can do. And lastly, remember the goal. When it comes to processing your pain, remember that moving on is the end goal. If you don't process it and you suppress it, you'll never move on. You'll stay stuck. Expressing your feelings will liberate you in a way that you will finally feel set free. But it's important not to dwell on those negative feelings when you start to face them, or to overanalyze the situation, or try to fix the problem. If you know it's over, and you've got to move on. Getting stuck in hurtful feelings like blame and anger and resentment will rob you completely from valuable energy and prevent you from healing and moving forward. So once again, during this time, my dear friend, learn a way in which you can express yourself openly and joyfully, or maybe not even joyfully. Sometimes I listen to sad, miserable music when I feel like I'm facing extreme hurt. I allow that music to overcome me, and I start literally typing out my story of pain. And that really helps out a lot. That's what you need to be doing during this time. I tell you some things that you shouldn't be doing. You shouldn't be drinking. You shouldn't be eating badly. You shouldn't be going to the sugary spiked foods. You shouldn't be working out aggressively. You should be resting. You should be meditating. You should be reading. You should be listening to positive personal development and self-help books that can help you to work through the pain. Number two, the second way after you, once again, number one was, if you didn't catch it, allow yourself to grieve the loss of the relationship. And number two is take care of yourself after the breakup. Vital. You hear me? You hear? This is so important. You have been treated like second place for far, far too long. If you don't begin to put yourself in first place, how do you believe you will begin to attract a partner that will treat you any different than you treat yourself? If you continue to put yourself first, I wish I could shake you and wake you up. But if you are to continue to put yourself second, who do you think will come into your life and treat you any different than you treat yourself? You will never be first in their book if you're always second in your own, because you attract what you are, not ever what you want. So if you want to stop facing low quality relationships, you must become a higher quality person or partner. A heartbreak is a very stressful and life-changing event that can wreck your mind, it can wreck your body, it can wreck your spirit, it can wreck your entire identity. It can cause you to lose yourself, disconnect from people, and lose sight of God. It's what it did for me, and that's what I talk about in my book, The Big Three, is how I rebuilt the relationship with myself, others, and God after I lost myself, others, and God after a heartbreak. Highly recommend that book. Of course, a little biased, but nonetheless, it's going to be a really helpful guide for you to understand how to begin to process your emotions and build a better relationship with yourself, others, and God. So realistically, a heartbreak is just so stressful because you lose yourself, you disconnect from others, and you lose sight of God. And when you're going through a heartbreak or a life-changing event, it is more important than ever to take time for yourself. You feel so alone because you're not even there for you. And that's the truth. No wonder you feel so alone. It's not because of the lack of somebody. It's because of lack of you. You've always lacked being with yourself. There came a time when you fell in love in a relationship where the fulfillment that you felt from them can ever be fulfilled if you're with somebody else. You know, the strains of all the ups and downs can leave you psychologically and physically vulnerable to legit illnesses. Sometimes I like to tell my clients to treat themselves like they are getting over a flu. You know, get plenty of rest, drink plenty of water, minimize other sources of stress in your life to reduce your workload if possible. These little things can help you to take care of yourself, be more mindful of yourself, understanding what it is that you want, but learning to put yourself first and take care of yourself can be one of the most valuable lessons that you will learn following your heartbreak. I think it was the greatest gift that I received, was learning how to take care of me and not having to rely on somebody else to take care of me. Like knowing that I've got me, I'm okay. And even when I don't feel okay, I'm okay with, because I know how to process that pain now. So I'm going to give you 3 self-care tips that I believe can help you to improve that relationship with yourself while taking care of yourself. Number 1 is you've got to make time each day to nurture yourself. Ideally, this just means you need to help yourself heal by blocking out time each day for self-care activities that find them calming and peaceful and fulfilling and perhaps soothing. Spend time out in nature, hang out with friends, listen to positive podcasts and meditation musics, or sometimes some things that I like to do is I like to dance to good music and enjoy my own personal bed and just lay in it and take a moment to really feel the gratitude. These are certain things that, although might be common sense, is not common practice. Common sense isn't always common practice, so we stay stuck. You know how great it feels to be in a warm bed during a cold morning? You know, like you're like, I just don't want to get out of bed. But your mind is strictly goes into the day ahead, and you're just miserable that you even have to get out of bed. How about finding a blessing that you're still in bed, that you even have a bed, that you have warmth, that you can move your legs and bodies, hands, arms, feet, nose, mouth, toes. Feel that gratitude, okay? Because gratitude is the secret to your happiness. But it's not just saying that you're grateful, it's feeling that you're grateful. That's number 1, is make time each day to nurture yourself. Number 2 way is pay attention to what you need. This is so important because in that last relationship, you never focused on you. You focused on them and you lost yourself. And when they left, because you lost yourself while you're in that relationship, when they left, you found yourself completely lost. So I've got to ask, when was the last time that you felt like you gave yourself what you needed? Do you even know what you need? If not, start there, okay? Just start there. Don't overwhelm yourself. Just start there. Become more aware of what it is you need right now. If you are finding it hard to fulfill your needs, here are some of the things that I recommend. Put on some peaceful music and close your eyes. And tune into your heart by asking yourself, what is it that I need right now? Listen to that music, close your eyes, and tune into your heart and ask your heart that question. What is it that I need right now? And wait for your heart to feed your mind with the answers in which you seek. Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be open to you. Once you hear your heart speak to you, take a moment to write down what your heart said to you so that you can begin to move on to the actionable steps that you need in order for you to give yourself the thing that you need. So once you close your eyes and you tune into some music, you close your eyes, you go in this meditative space a little bit, you ask your heart, what is it that you need? You wait for a while you tune into that music. You might hear your heart say, I need rest. I need to feel happier. I need to feel healthier. I need to feel more positive. I need to feel wealthier. Whatever it may be, that's what you need to focus on. But then get out your journal and write down how you're going to be happier. That is something that has helped me tremendously. One of the things that helped me out, something else that helped me out tremendously was my walks with God through the nature, through woods. There was something about nature that I just felt serene. I felt serenity. I felt peaceful. I felt guided. I felt protected. I felt secure. There's a lot of good things that came out of nature for me. Okay, so that's number 2. Number 1 was make time each and every day to nurture yourself. Number 2 was pay attention to what you need by asking yourself that basic question. And number 3 is stick to a routine. Routines empower you or destroy you. They can bring life to you or they can bring death to you. They have the power to make you do things you want to do and make you do things that you don't want to do. That's why it's so vitally important to use this time to rebuild yourself. Right now, your heart, your mind, your body, and identity, who you believe you are, has been shot and shattered into a million pieces. Right now, during this heartbreak, is the perfect opportunity to see that this heartbreak as a blessing. It is time that you get to rebuild yourself and become a version of yourself that you're happy with, so that you can begin to build yourself worth and finally feel good enough, feel worthy enough, feel confident enough to start that project, to start that business, to go out there and be creative, to give yourself away, and to do whatever your purpose is here to do. A routine can absolutely do this for you. A routine can help you to reclaim your life back, and it can help you to feel a sense of power that you haven't felt in such a long while. It can help you to feel like, hey, I got this. I can get through this. This is good. I got me. I can do this. And isn't that what you want? Don't you want to feel more confident, more happy, more joyful, more purposeful? If so, I highly suggest you start to map out a happy and healthy routine that will empower you to move back into your heart and out of your pain so that you can finally move on, move forward, and start with a new canvas that holds an image that causes happier times ahead. My name is Tyler Joe Stratton. I am the founder of the Happy Heart Academy and the author of my book, The Big Three. If you enjoyed this lesson today, be sure to let me know. Also, hey, share what's going on in your mind. Let me know, what is it that you feel like you need today in order for you to move on tomorrow. Hope to see you in the comments below.